What is happening, mediocre people of YouTube? Drop my sunglasses. So I'm at the lake and I'm getting ready to wrap up a little project before I leave. I got the boat moored down, and if you don't know about properly mooring your boat and storing it in the water, which includes a full tank of gas, yeah, things like that are important, especially if you have an older boat like this one. Got it all tied down and ready to sit, but just a beautiful day out on the lake again. Several beautiful days. I've been here about a week, and boy, the weather, man, I'll tell you what, we can use some rain desperately, but boy, it sure is nice to have this beautiful weather day in and day out here. Anyway, got a little project to complete before I can wrap it up here, and that project is, long story short, we had a scratch in the door on the new pontoon, and I went ahead and painted it. Try to give you guys a close-up shot with a spray can, and you guys, you know how that goes, you know. Oh boy, that's a weird glare coming off of there. But if I can get hope I can get a decent boy, that glare coming off there is weird. Anyway, hope I can get a decent, I hope I can film this decently, get a decent picture on this so that I can explain what I'm doing here. You know, basically what we're trying to do is, and hopefully we can see this finish. You guys see that? Nice finish. So you can see that the paint match on here is very good paint match. But how do we go from this to that? Well, we got to wet sand and then polish. And I'm not going to sit here and have you guys watch me wet sand. But what I will do is, you know, explain the process. And I'm going to wet sand, and then I'll go into using the buffer and all that good stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to start with 1500 grit. And if it's just making me work too hard, then I'll, you know, go to either 12 or 800 grit just to see what happens. Let me see where you guys are going to be able to see my hand. So I'll just start in a spot where you guys can see. So this is 1500 grit, wet, been soaking with a little bit of Dawn detergent. And this is what you do. This is what you want to do, is just wet sand that, that texture out of there. Like I say, of course, with a spray can, you're never going to get, you know, a great finish or anything close to doing it with a gun. But what you're trying to do is, and of course, I'm not prepared with a towel. Hold on. So what you're trying to do is, like with anything else you wet sand, what you're trying to do is get down to a very nice flat matte finish that you can work with the wheel. So I can see I'm probably going to have to, oh, I don't know, maybe not. I'm going to keep going here with this 1500 grit for a little bit, and we'll see how hard I have to work. Maybe I'll go down to 12 or 800 grit, but you guys really don't need to see all that. I'm just going to be wet sanding this door. Once I get it to the point where I'm ready to hit it with the wheel, then I'll show you that process. Alright, so I'm not very far into this, just about maybe 10 minutes or so, and I realized real quick that I'm going to have to get a little bit more aggressive with it. So what I've done is I've got, I started with 1500 grit, and it's just not getting me where I'll be here for the next 2 days trying to wet sand this thing. So I'm going down to 600 grit wet sanding paper, same story. I'm gonna let it soak for a few minutes in this soapy water. But 600 grit is, you know, 600 grit, and I'll go from 600, and then I'll probably go right up to 1200 from there, and then until I get to the 1500. And usually 1500, I don't go as high as 2000 grit usually. Usually 1500 grit gets me where I need to be on these finishes, and then once I get there and I get a nice smooth matte finish, then I'll get into the what I use as far as polishing and buffing with the wheel. So yeah, so I just wanted to throw a little update in there. Like I say, I started on it and I could see right away that, you know, I painted this with a spray can, like I said, so it's not like it's going on, you know, it's coming right out of a spray. It's good paint, real good paint. It's good mix and all that stuff. And what I will also say is that any of you guys that are buying new pontoons, especially if you're having one built, and if you have the option to get a thicker paint or a clear coat on it, get it. Because in my experience with these pontoons, with this pontoon, I mean, the paint on here is so thin, I mean, it's almost unbelievably thin. I mean, no doubt in my mind, they just hit it one coat, buffed it, and they're done, you know. So, yeah, you know, we're kind of considering that too. We're kind of thinking about, you know, how we could put a clear coat on here to protect it more, because I mean, it's ridiculous how thin the coats are. But anyway, enough of that. But think about that if you guys are, you know, contemplating buying a new pontoon. Think about the thickness of the paint. Kind of check it if you can. And especially, like I say, when you're having a brand new boat or pontoon built, you usually have an option as to how thick the paint will be, or in the case of fiberglass, how thick the gel coat will be. So got something to keep in mind. I know our boat, my dad, when he had it built, he spotted that right away, and he got the thickest gel coat he could possibly get on that boat, and, you know, paid extra money for it. But you know, again, you know, we're looking at a 30-year-old boat, and still able to work with the gel coat. You know, as much of oxidation we've had on it over the years, I'm still able. I've got a lot. You know, I've never burned through to the primer yet, so that's real good news. Anyway, I'm going to continue on here, and like I said, I'll get with you guys when I'm ready to hit it with a wheel. Okay, just to give you an idea, you know, this is, I hit it with 600 grit, you know, and it's of course it needs a lot more work, I know, a lot more 600 grit. So, but this gives you an idea as to what we're trying to accomplish here. We're trying to knock down all that texture and everything that was in there. As you can see, this area right here still needs a lot of sanding, where this area down here we're starting to get flat, you know. So that's when once I get the entire thing nice and flat like that, then I'll start hitting it with the 1200 grit and then the 1500 grit, and then the polish will start coming, you know, right about the 1500 grit mark. You can see there's something in here that needs to be knocked down, and this area right up in here is very heavy still with that, you know, that orange peel or whatever you want to call it. So that's what we're trying to accomplish here. I'm going to go ahead and continue on with 600 grit for another at least one, maybe two more passes, and then we'll see where we're at from there and run to the 1200 grit. Like I said, I'm not going to really document the whole thing because, you know, you guys can see this anywhere, but just trying to give my subscribers a little information on boating and whatnot. So I'm going to get back to work. I'm going to put you guys on pause. So what you're seeing right there doesn't suck for 800 grit for the first pass. I'm going to do one more pass of 800 grit, and then I believe I'm going to move on to 1200 grit because we're not too far off. Got a little something in there. I know what that is. That's from the original. We tried to just paint an area. I tried to just paint an area and it just didn't work out. So not bad. This area here, I can see it needs a little bit more. The bottom here, not so much. But yeah, that's where we're at. So to tell the story while I'm not doing nothing here but wet sanding. So initially, the scratch was like somewhere in here in the middle. So initially what I tried to do, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I tried to just tape off that area where the scratch was and spray it, which worked. But when I went to wet sand it, what had happened is I was wet sanding one area and I went through the finish with 1500 grit, and I wasn't even really working it. Like this area here that I was just talking about that has, you know, that I know I have to work this area to make sure it's flat. Like I wasn't even working it this hard, and I'm just doing a light. This is still on 600 grit here. Hopefully my last pass is 600 grit, and I'm just giving it a light wet sanding, and this is exactly what I was doing when I went through the finish. So that's how thin this paint is on this this pontoon. So again, I know I said something about it in the beginning of the video about you know, if you have the option to get, you know, thicker paint or a clear coat on a pontoon, do it, because in my experience, this is not a this is a no bullshit pontoon. This is a Sylvan. This is a, you know, top name brand pontoon. It's not like it's a off brand. You know, you got Crest and Sylvan and you know, Bennington. They're a big one in the last 10 years or so. But you know, all the old companies like Crest and Sylvan, you know, they're still the top brands out there, and they're still known for quality and attention to detail. So you wouldn't think the paint jobs would be so thin. So I guess this is, you know, I never did really do a formal review on this pontoon, so I guess I'm going to have to do that too. But you know, so far one of the things that I would have to say in the Sylvan pontoon review is that their paint jobs are thinner than paper. You know, I mean, it's like super thin. The scratch that initially was on here, I mean, nobody even knows where it came from, because it's not like we bumped it or anything like that. So anyway, so I could go on and on about this stuff, but yeah, now I'm getting to where I want to be, and I do believe I'm going to move on to 1200 grit from here, and then to 1500 grit, because I'm real happy with what's in here, and it looks like I was able to work out this spot in here that I wanted to work out, and I'm happy with that. So I'm going to move on to 12 and then 1500 grit, and when I get it right where I want to get it and I'm ready for the wheel, I will check back in with you guys. So after about an hour and a half of wet sanding this, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. Could have probably even gone up to like 2000 grit, but that's okay, because I'll start with a medium foam pad. Now, when I start wheeling this stuff, I do not fuck around. And what I mean by I do not fuck around, this is not time to experiment with shit, okay? I use decent wheels. That's a medium foam pad I'll start with, and then I've got an ultra fine pad, okay? But what I'm talking about is it's not time to experiment with products. I use a 3M product. This is foam pad glaze, Perfected 3M. This bottle's probably 15-20 years old, but it's still good. This is what you use. Don't experiment with bullshit, because it's gonna screw you up. So go buy good products, and really these days all I can really recommend is 3M, because everybody else seems to sell their company to somebody else who waters it down. Even the Meguiar's products are getting bad. There is one other Meguiar's product I'll probably use in this project. I'm not experimenting. I've used this in the past, and this is a fine scratch remover. It's real fine. It's basically the same thing as this glaze, this 3M glaze, but I think this stuff is even a little bit finer. So I'll go ahead and start buffing this, and I'll kind of show you guys you know, step by step how it comes out. Alright, to kind of start showing you guys what's going on here. I started buffing this top area here. Now you can see here's where we wet sanded. And now this top area, I'm using it low speed. I'm using my wheel on a low speed with that 3M buffing compound, and I'm just slowly buffing this out until I get it where I want it. You know, the whole door, I'm going to get it right where I want it, and just keep buffing it until I get a nice finish on there. And then I'll even go down to a finer wheel and a finer that finer Meguiar's product. But we'll see. I may not even need to use that. We'll just see how this goes. Like I said, I just started buffing this just to kind of show you the difference between what we're going from where we wet sanded, you know, up into here. And this is what we want, because what we're trying to do now is we're trying to match the finish. And you know, the finish is It's too bad we got all these reflections here because it's a really pretty blue finish. We're trying to get to that. I know there's a reflection there, but what we have to do is match this finish. Okay, so that's what we're doing, and that's what I'm doing with the wheel right now, is trying to get to the finish, you know, as close as I'm going to get it to the original, which, you know, should be pretty close because this paint was an excellent match. So I'm going to keep going here. I'll finish the first step, and then I'll see you guys in a second. Alright, so it's too bad we got these reflections going here and everything, but now here we go. We're really starting to match the finish. And again, this isn't about, you know, high speed, you know, removing oxidation and going crazy with the wheel. This is about, you know, taking your time. I have my wheel on 1, okay? And I probably turned it up to maybe 2, maybe in between 2 and 3, you know, when I was getting comfortable, and just slowly working that glaze in, you know, back in, and trying to match this original finish as close as we can. So now I'm going to put on my extra fine wheel, and I think I'll probably stick with the 3M product, but I might go with the Meguiar's. We'll see how it goes. But I'm gonna go ahead and switch my wheel out, put my my ultra fine wheel on. This is what this is. I got a medium pad on here now, and this is a ultra fine pad, and it's, you know, basically designed to help you remove, you know, any of the real fine scratches and really bring the finish out. So that's where we're at. You know, before I even get started again with the fine stuff, you know, I was talking about using this as my fine scratch remover and buffer. But you know what? I think I'm probably going to use this. And I know it's not labeled, but what this is, it's called, I mean, listen to how thin this is. Okay, versus this. This is, it's called Mother's Sealer Glaze. Now this stuff, this is what it's made to do. It's made for to seal your paint and remove fine scratches. So I think I'll probably go with the Mother's and work that because I know this product. I've used it. I know what it's capable of doing. So that, you know, a lot of this has to do with, you know, trial and error and getting used to certain products that you know work. And that's what you want to go with. That's what you want to stick with. You know, products that you know work, and go from there. But yeah, like I said, I can recommend 3M products. This Mother's product that I have that is called Mother's Sealer Glaze, I don't know if they make it anymore. And I don't know what the quality of it is anymore. I believe Mother's products they haven't changed in years and years, so it's probably the same. It is an excellent sealer glaze. So yeah, I could recommend that. So yeah, in the end, I'm glad I remembered I had that Mother's sealer glaze. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. I'm going to, now that the end result is, what we're going to do is put a coat of Mother's California Gold on it, and that'll be it. And then I'll have to clean up all the overspray and everything else. You know how that goes. So here we go. But again, I'm glad I remembered that I had that product because it really works great, and it really brought this finish out. And I mean, this is as close to the original finish as anybody's going to get. I'm not tooting my own horn. This is all, you know, trial and error from the time I was 13 years old. You know, it's like that's how I know how to do this. I'm not like some professional. I've learned on my own. I've trial and error different products, and all I'm trying to really do here is kind of share this information with you guys, so that hopefully you know, you guys, if you ever find yourself doing some stuff like this, I hope it helps somebody. So let me throw a coat of wax on here and let's see what the end result is here. Alright, while we're waiting for our wax to tack up and see what the end result is, because as you guys know, if you're watching this video, once we pull the final wax off, it'll show every single fuck up or anything I miss. So we'll wait for the wax to tack up. Just talk a little bit about waxes. Since I've been doing this kind of stuff, I have used Mother's California Gold paste wax since I've been doing this shit. Now they also make a liquid wax, which is also pretty good. I don't think it's as good as the paste wax, but it is pretty good. However, once a season, I try to pull the boat out, wash it, and wax it, which I did the other day. And I use this stuff here, Meguiar's Cleaner Wax, and I'm pretty happy with it. It goes on a little harder than Mother's, but it does come off much easier. This was purchased last season, so you know, I don't know what's going on with Meguiar's, but something certainly changed over the winter months. The old Meguiar's 49, which I used to say, oh, this stuff is great, heavy oxidation remover. It is now junk. I don't know what happened. It's watered down. It does not do the job that it used to do. So I'm going back to 3M products on that. Again, you spend more money on the 3M products, but they're going to be right every single time, and they last you a really long time too. Like I said, that bottle of glaze I have in there, I've had for probably 20 years. You know, it's not like I'm doing this for a living. I'm doing this to maintain our boats, you know. So there's the boat sitting in the water. Again, I pulled it out last week, washed it and waxed it. There's a little scum on the water line already, but hey, can't help that. But yeah, I was pretty happy with the way that finish came out with the Meguiar's Cleaner Wax, Meguiar's 50 Cleaner Wax. So might want to give that a shot. Like I said, it goes on a little harder than the Mother's, but it comes off a lot easier. I guess we'll see how this finish holds up. You can see that right at the water line. It's not because of the wax or anything, but it's because of the water here. Been stirred up so much. There's a bunch of scum right at the water line there. But yeah, and just another thing I recommend is, you know, if you have a boat that you're keeping in the water over the summer, you know, pull it out at least once and wash it and wax it. Especially, you know, the bottom gets really shitty sometimes. This water at this lake, this water is extremely clean, and but it does get stirred up. We've had a lot more boats on the lake than we've had in a long time, and it's pretty much sand everywhere you go, but as you go out you can go into muck. I was once told by a guy that used to dive this lake, he said that you could dive down into the muck 5, 6, 7, 8 feet and come swimming out the other side, you know. So it really is all natural, and it's a really clean lake, and for whatever reason it's really fun. It really draws people here. I mean, there's just so many people that love coming here. People come here one time and then the next thing you know they're coming here every summer, which is, you know, is what it is. You know, I preferred it more when I was a kid. There wasn't as many people around, but again, I mean, we're coming up on, you know, it won't be long, and we've been coming to this lake for 50 years, you know, my family and myself. So it's kind of sentimental. It'll definitely always hold a place in my heart. But anyway, the wax should be tacking up by now. So I'll start polishing this wax and see how it comes out, and we'll see what the final product looks like. Alright, so there we go. Again, too bad I can't do something about this reflections and everything, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. You can see the original finish is on the left, and then the finish I did would be on the right there. So I think I got pretty close. Matter of fact, I think I nailed it pretty damn good. Yeah, I still got to do all the detail work, getting all the overspray and the shit that flies off the wheel. It's on the aluminum there, but yeah, again, these reflections and everything don't do it justice. But yeah, man, I'm pretty happy. Pretty happy with the way this came out. Came out pretty damn nice, if I do say so myself. So anyway, any of you guys that are, you know, taking on something like this where you're gonna, you know, need to, you know, repair what happened here, and I think I said in the beginning of the video what happened is there was a scratch on the door, and we decided to repaint the door. You know, in the beginning I didn't paint the whole door. I tried to just paint the scratch, and that didn't work out because, I don't know, I had my head up my ass. I should have just repainted the door from the beginning. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but that's what happened. So anyway, I had to go back and do it right. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out, and if it helps some of you guys, great. And like I said, if I wasn't so mediocre, I'd have some type of lens that would take this reflection out so you guys could see this better. But again, original finish on the right, my finish on the left. Like I say, man, I think it got pretty damn close there. Pretty close there, Wrecker. Alright, guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.